know I had to click that twice. So, at any rate, let's see who is Stream Star. There's this year publish okay. Let's see if this is working. Hey, it is working. People showed up. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if this thing was working or not. Joseph Ricchetti, Joey Ten Fingers, they call him. Or at least that's what I call him according to his screen name. Skilled Rook, Big Cole, Ricky Compton. What's up, fellas? How's everybody doing today on this somewhat drizzly, dreary Saturday afternoon here in the Midwest? I guess I don't know what the weather is everywhere else in the world, but here in the Midwest it is not terrible weather, but not exactly boating weather either. So Charles 75N, lefty guitarist, man. There, you want to talk about a demographic of people in our industry that gets screwed more than anybody. It is left-handed guitar players, left-handed musicians in general. When I was at the store, I used to have to refer left-handed, because we carried like 3 lefty guitars maybe, and all of them were cheap and sucked. So unless it was a beginner, they were a hard sell. There's a shop in Texas, I think, called Southpaw Music. That is, all they carry are left-handed instruments, and they carry a lot of them. And I had to refer people to them all the time. I am doing good. Ricky says it's raining in Michigan. Lefty Guitar says it's better nowadays. Okay, well, that's good. That's good. A lot of that is, people have become a lot more open-minded to, people become a lot more open-minded to ordering guitars online. You still got plenty of people, I'm not buying it until I play it first. I want to make sure I buy, you still got those guys out there, and I should make fun of them. I suppose there's nothing wrong with it, but so. Oh yeah, there's plenty of companies that make left-handed guitars. Schecter makes a lot of them. Gibson actually make their share. Taylor makes a lot of left-handed guitars actually. So, there's definitely left-handed guitars to be made, and they're out there. You just kind of got to know where to look for them if you are a lefty, or learn to play right-handed so you don't have that problem anymore. Let's see. Joseph D'Angelo, Cowtown Customs says raining in Ohio. Boo. You must have gotten the rain that came through here this morning. One thing is for sure, I never forget your name. It's the same as my son's. My name? You have a son named Robert Jackson? Cool. Ricky says, I've ordered 6 guitars online, 5 from Sweetwater, 1 from Guitar Center. I've ordered a lot of guitars online, man. Well, let's see. The Chapman was an online order. I was a little leery about that one because so many, at that time, and that was not long after, after Rob Chapman's, infamous, the thing where, the whole world, the whole world, the KDA's thing, and the whole world got pissed at him for nothing. So a lot of people were kind of soured. A lot of people were kind of soured onto him anyway, but at that time, but everybody was complaining, oh, they got quality issues, and they got this, and they got that, and they got, sharp frets, and, finish flaws, and all that. Man, I pulled mine out of the box, and mine was about as close to perfect as you could possibly imagine. I've had it a couple months now, and I still can't find anything wrong with it. Great guitar. I got nothing but good things to say about Chapman guitars. Let's see, but the Chapman came. The Chapman was online. The Schecter, the CR6 was an online order. God, I don't know. I think the last guitar that I acquired that wasn't an online order was the Vester, which I since sold. So. Lefty says, biggest problem is to try the guitar online. Is to try the guitar before buying. I bought a Chapman online. It's great. I also bought a Fender Player Strat online. It's great too. Maybe I'm lucky though. I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, both of those companies. You just heard my opinion on Chapman. With Fender, Fender's up their quality. Not necessarily the quality, but they've put a little bit more work into setting up their guitars before they go into the box out the door, and that goes all the way down to the Squier Bullet Strats. I got to give Fender some credit there because they have wised up to where their future business is coming from. So, they want, those people who are buying Squiers as their first guitar to have a really, really good experience. So they put a lot of time and effort into making sure that those guitars are set up real well right out of the box. So, Robert, do you have any tips on how to alternate pick fast? Oh boy. Yeah, practice. Practice with a metronome. And, there's all kinds of picking exercises and stuff out there. And I'm probably not the best guy to ask this question to, because I'm a lot of things, but a shredder is not one of them. It's what I think what has helped me is sitting down. Or what has helped me is songwriting, to be honest with you. And I resisted it for years, because I was always a guy that played in cover bands, and I loved playing in cover bands. Always had a blast doing it, I loved playing, loved doing that kind of stuff. And, and as a result, I was always skeptical about, I just didn't have any interest in writing my own songs and playing original music. And then YouTube forced me into it when they cracked down on their copyright policies. And, that's when I really, and it kind of took me to the next level, because, I was writing, coming up with riffs and stuff, as it wasn't such a big deal, but, sitting down and writing a solo over a couple of bars of that riff, that has really, it's honed the knowledge of the skills and the soloing skills and the things that I already knew, but also allowed me to expand that a little bit more, and I'm not necessarily a big advocate of, a big believer in that, you've got to be able to play blazing fast in order to, in order to play a great guitar solo, Angus Young proved that with, his car, my guitar is here. Angus Young proved that with, shit, what the hell is that? Why is that name? That song name drawing a blank. You Shook Me All Night Long. Not a fast solo at all, but brilliantly written. So many David Gilmour solos, particularly, the ones in Comfortably Numb, you know, brilliantly written solos. Brilliantly written solos. So you don't have to be a shredder to be a great guitar player. But if that's what you're after, sit down with a metronome and, learn minor pentatonic scales and start, get a looper pedal, lay down a riff, and start laying down some solo licks and see what comes up. That's the best advice I can give you. See, Guitar Center has a good return policy. Guitar Center has the longest return policy in the industry by more than 2 weeks. That's why I don't have any sympathy for anybody that complains about wanting to return something after the return policy has expired. It drives me insane. Scar My Guitar, thank you, sir, very much for the super chat. Speaking of Scar My Guitar, if you guys were hanging out on my live stream here about a month or so ago, pardon me for a second. They popped in here and offered me an opportunity to design a guitar with them and then give it away to one of you guys. So, just so you're aware, that's what we're doing. That is what we are working on. I have sketched out, poorly sketched out, a design for a guitar that something that I would think is cool and unique, and they are deciphering it and pulling something, and putting it together, and we are going to. As soon as that's done, I don't know, and it's probably going to be a few months before that happens. But as soon as that's done, they are, they're going to send it to me, and I'm going to show it to you guys on the channel, and then we're going to give it to one of you guys. So everybody, go check out Scar My Guitar's YouTube channel as well. By the way, they got some cool stuff over there. Ricky Compton, but Sweetwater will set your guitar up if you tell them how you want it. Believe it or not, Guitar Center will actually do that too. You got to request it, but they do have people at their warehouse that can do that. Ricky Compton says, I just got an EVH Wolfgang Special Stealth from Guitar Center. Played great right out of the box. There's another example of Fender paying close attention to that. Gibson's still doing things half-assed. I think they have gotten a little bit better from the new ones I've seen, but I mean, if you look at how far down they had, their quality had slid. I mean, they got a lot of work to do, and it's not something that's going to get turned around in a year or so. I think we're what we're seeing is those problems run a lot deeper than what anybody initially thought. So I'm willing to be patient with them for a while longer. And I have seen some of their new guitars, the new ones that don't have any stupid model years in the in the title, just what's just a standard Les Paul, good old fashioned Gibson Les Paul standard. I have gotten my hands on some of those that play pretty well. Pardon me. Joel Bateman says I play Black Sabbath and Slayer covers. I love both of those bands. Some of the Slayer covers are not easy. Those guys, I remember learning a couple of Slayer songs back in the early 90s, and at that time, that was about the fastest music on the planet, and I couldn't hang with most of it. Hey, Doc Amos Roxy's here today. Jay Bird Shreds. Pardon me. Rick Virginia, Paul Von Tyrant, Kenneth Green, Tim Russell Guitar Restoration, Joey Van Ostrand. Scar My Guitar says there's a cigar box giveaway on his channel right now. So you guys want to participate in and possibly land yourself a cigar box guitar. There's another reason to go check out Scar My Guitars. Or Scar My Guitar, I'm sorry. And he says, I saw him say down a little bit further down in the comment, "Pimp my ride for guitars." That's kind of how I've always, the way I've always kind of thought of your channel, and it's true, and it's cool. Jay Bird Shred says, "Best and most fair and balanced YouTube guitar guy on the web. You're the man, Robert. Great tone and underrated guitar player too." Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but but thank you very much. Rick Virginia says, "Thoughts on VCH?" I have no idea what that means. He says thoughts on Charvels. Love Charvels. Love Charvels. You know, I've got a Charvel. Sorry, multitasking here. I've got an 87 Model 5 that I love. And you guys have seen my Charvel Desolation Series guitar on my channel numerous times. I play that guitar quite a bit. You know, I can't believe the value of that guitar for the money. You know, those things. I remember those were brand new. That guitar was like $650, $700, and why they discontinued them, I have no idea, because that series was really popular. You know, because they were such a great value. Pardon me. And you know, mine's always played great. You know, I've always loved the way that thing plays. And you know, it was $650, $700 or something, brand new. And for whatever reason, after they discontinued them, I got mine on a Musician's Friend stupid deal of the day. They were blowing them out for $200, so I got mine for $200. And apparently they sold a lot of those that day, because they're not worth much more than that on the used market. So, so all of a sudden the market got flooded with them, and you can pick them up cheap. If I had a need for a second one, that'd be great, but I don't. But you know, yeah, no, I love Charvels. I love all the, you know, the San Dimas, you know, all the San Dimas guitars, all the way back to, you know, the real early old ones. Charvels are great, man. Great guitars with a long lot of history. Just got the Kink pedal Stria, first pedal I've bought from Australia, and it kicks ass. Robert, ever heard or tried any Kink pedals? I am not familiar with them. Seems like maybe I've heard the brand name a time or two, but that is the extent of my knowledge on them, unfortunately. I'm not familiar with them at all. I will check them out. Is a Fender M80 amp worth repairing? Seems to have multiple problems. Oh man, you know, there's that. The M80. There's some people out there that love the M80s, and there's some people out there that absolutely despise them. You know, so I mean, I guess that, you know, that's really the answer to your question. You know, if you like the amp, then yeah, you know, I would say have it repaired. You know, though, you know, without knowing what it is on it that needs repaired. You know, maybe check with the Scar My Guitar folks and see if they fix amps too. You know, maybe you can feature it on their channel. You know, that said, you know, it's a much older solid state amp. Like I said, there is a cult following for those. But you know, technology wise, you know, I mean, you could also weigh the option of putting the money into something with you know, a little bit more modern sound in it, modern technology. Tim Russell Guitar Restoration says, "Hey Robert, love your channel. You obviously have a ball doing it. Congratulations on your success." Thank you very much. Yes, I do enjoy doing this quite a bit. I was chatting with a friend of mine last night, and you know, got to thinking. I mean, I haven't, you know, YouTube this wasn't intentional, but you know, for some reason, you know, once I dove into it, you know, I kind of had to figure out how to schedule it. because it takes up a lot of my time. A lot of my time. Like, I mean, I don't get to play golf anywhere near as often as I once did. I haven't, I don't play. I don't have time to play in bands anymore. I haven't played a gig in like 3 years or something now. So, but I do really, really enjoy doing YouTube. So, some of it I enjoy. I just enjoy creating content, and I enjoy interacting with people, and sometimes I enjoy, pissing off trolls. Joel Bateman said, "I'm learning Shield Wall by Amon Amarth." Not familiar with that. I know the band, but I'm not familiar with the song. Have you checked out Twin Note? The cheap Pi Fuzz is anything but cheap. I saw they have a Boogie Mesa pedal for very cheap also. You're the second or third person to ask me about that brand here in the last, just in the last couple of weeks. I'm not familiar with them, but it sounds like I probably ought to familiarize myself with them. Hey, John McDonald's here from London. Welcome to you. Jay Birch Reds. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. Michelle Wade is here. Welcome to you. She says, "Hey Robert, have you checked out or used the Marshall pedals like the Governor 2?" I have. It's funny you ask because I get on, they're the Governor and the Jackhammer, those two in particular. If you're talking about the series, the Governor, this is GV2, yeah. So that was the series from about 10 years or so ago with the all metal housings and stuff. The gold, kind of the gold pewter colored looking pedals, and those two pedals in particular, every time I go surfing, like Guitar Center's website or, whatever website I'm surfing, I'm always seeing if they have any available, and, because I would like to pick up one of each of those. And, sometimes they do, but they're priced more than I think they're worth, or, or they just, they're just none listed, or what's happened more often than anything is that, they do have one, the price is right, but, there's something else that's more of a pressing need that I grab instead. Right now I'm collecting Boss overdrive and distortion pedals for something that I have planned here coming up down the road. So, but when I looked the other day, there wasn't anything out there available anyway, but they do pop up often enough that, my time will come. Kobiath says Gibson needs an employee buyout. The people making the gear need to have the skin in the game. It'll never happen, man. It'll never happen, because Gibson are now owned by that huge, what's the name, KKR, or something like that, I think is the name of the investment firm that now owns Gibson, their parent company, and they are a big company with a lot of money and a lot of power. Employees aren't ever going to be able to buy out Gibson as long as, at least in its current state. Maybe the day will come that they're able to get out from underneath the thumb of KKR, and if they are, then the possibility might be there. But as it sits right now, there's no way. There's no way. And with all their debt and stuff that and challenges that they're facing and trying to fix right now, who would want to buy into it and take it on? What are your thoughts on the Digitech RP360? That's another one of those processors that the technology certainly advanced in them from what the first generation was. They do sound better, but you guys know how I am with processors. Signal processors. I just don't get along with them. I don't. I always have a tough time programming them and getting them to sound right, both in my environment and in a live band setting. And the one that never ever seems to translate to the other. And Too many knobs and buttons and switches and menus and all. They're not for me. They're not for me. The old school Marshall Governor pedal is pretty killer. Those are killer, but those are also expensive on the market now. I would really like to have one of the old Governors. Michael Coral says, "To hell with Gibson, go get an Eastman. If Dick is watching, don't be a dick. I've never played an Easton. I've heard a lot of good things about them, though. What are your thoughts on Darren Malakian? I don't even know who that is, so I don't have it. Is that the dude from System of a Down? If it's System of a Down, they have one song that I like, and the rest of it, the rest of their music, what I've heard anyway, it all sounds like nails on a chalkboard. I can't. I've never been able to get into that band, with the exception of Aerials. Aerials is a great song, but that doesn't sound anything like anything else I've ever done, at least that I've heard. But like I said, I'm not even sure that's the same dude. Charvel Desolation is a true sleeper. I agree, especially the Desolation ones, the top end ones with the EMGs and the neck through construction, killer guitars. Michael Rakes says, "Hey Robert, hope your day is well. Just dropped in for a bit in between painting rooms in my house. Doing good, sir. I am not painting rooms in my house, although I have rooms in my house that need to be painted. But admittedly, that is a project that I am not." I haven't been in a big hurry to. Haven't been in a big hurry to fix that anytime soon. Is Wayne Charvel back in business after the fire that burned the plant down? Well, my understanding was Charvel was still under Fender ownership and not going anywhere. If Wayne Charvel started another company, and he could very well have, I'm not sure. I know Grover Jackson has been working with several people. He designed and built the Friedman guitars, and I think he also had a hand in the Washburn. What was that Washburn Shredder series called? I can't remember what they're called right now, but I think maybe he helped design those, but I can't remember. RGD, whoa, my eyes, just put you on the 65-inch TV, big mistake, back to phone. Sorry, dude, didn't mean to ruin the scenery in your living room. I'm just a bald dude on YouTube. So I guess Michael Riggs, I'm hearing some Gibson hate. Come on now, you can hate the corporate and the pricing, but you can't hate the product. It's legendary. It is legendary. It has a has a lot of history behind it, probably as much, if not more, history than any other guitar company out there. And I think that's where a lot of people's emotional attachment comes from when it comes to Gibson. Of course, that's everybody has their own opinion. I've played plenty of bad ones, and I was real sour on Gibson there for a long time. And I'm still not quite to the point that I'm gonna pull the trigger on a new one unless it's a really expensive custom shop. And let's face it, I'm not buying a really expensive Gibson custom shop anytime soon. So. They've had their problems, and they're trying to fix it. But like I said, now they got a parent company that's they're the only thing that they're concerned with is counting beans, and that's making it difficult. Michelle Wade, hey Robert, what do you think about the Kramer Beretta Special, one pickup volume knob and standard tremolo bridge? If you're talking about the new ones, I haven't played any of the new Kramers yet, but a lot of people are raving about them. Matter of fact, I think Guitar Max just did a video on his channel, and was it I think maybe it was the Beretta model. You know, I couldn't believe what he said he paid for that guitar. It was like $150 or something like that. You know, and Max is a great player. So, you know, he was, if he's, I got to take his word for it. You know, if he said it was great, it's a great pickup, or, it's a great guitar, you know, I need to check those out. You know, there's no way Gibson's ever going to send me one. You know, they're still, I think they're still pissed at me for bashing them, and being a little too overly critical of them a few years back. But so I doubt they'll ever send me a guitar. But I could be wrong. But yeah, if I ever get to demo one of those, it's probably gonna have to come out of my own pocket to do that. So BC Rich start at $1,400 now and worth it. I agree. I really, really want one of the new Shredzilla guitars. I really want one of the Shredzillas, and the Warlocks. I think the Warlocks and the Mockingbirds also look killer. I love BC Rich guitars though. They were my favorite guitar brand for a long, long time. Ricky Compton says one of my best amps is a Laney GH100L JCM 800 tone. Love that amp. I don't blame you. I think that's a killer amp too. I like the GH series amps. Matter of fact, I think they got a 30 watt or something that I was eyeballing there for a while, but but I got a hold of another amp a few weeks ago that it's still sitting back. You guys are probably going to see it here in a few weeks by the time the video goes up, because I'm going to work on that next week. But it's a big 120 watt monster that I have no idea what I'm going to do with. Doc Amos Roxy says, miss golfing. Used to live at semi-private club in Virginia. That would be nice. Yeah, I would. I would enjoy. I would enjoy living on a golf course. Don't know that it'll ever happen. I've got one course that's about, a small little course that's about 3 minutes one direction, and another larger course about 6 minutes the other direction. There's golf courses all over the place around here. So you would think that I would get off my ass and go play more, but I would go play this afternoon, but I gotta sit down. I got all my editing done for the week, so I'm done with that. I was up late last night getting that and taken care of, and so I'm going to sit down and hang out with you guys here for a while today, and then I would go play golf, but I got the exterminator coming to take care of an ant problem that we seem to have developed. So, and then me and the missus are going to have our weekly date night here this evening. So I'm not going to get to play golf today. Plus the weather's a little iffy anyway, and I hate playing in the rain. Joseph Austin says, I own Gibsons like all mates. Some are great, some are not. I think the turnoff is for the cost. They should all be playable. I don't disagree with that. Though the prices have come down quite a bit. Not that long ago, a Les Paul Standard was $3,800 or something ridiculous. Now they're back down to $2,500, which is, I think, $2,500 for a Les Paul Standard, I think is right where it should be. I think that's a pretty fair price for a made in USA Gibson Les Paul Standard. Doc Amers Roxy says, low as $19 for 4-knob metal case, twin note, 20 note, whatever, however it's pronounced. It was an impressive find. That's cheap. Okay, I'll check them out. Jerome Lenovo. I wonder if that's the dude that was trolling me in the comments the other day. Robert, love your amp reviews. Why don't the Peavey Classic line get love from other people? I feel that these are just great amps. You know, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea because I'm with you. I think they're killer sounding amps. And matter of fact, one of the best guitar players that I know. He's a customer of mine, and bought a fair amount of gear from me. He's a guy named Paul Bielatovich, and Paul's his primary gig. He plays guitar for Carl Palmer's band, of Carl Palmer of Emerson, Lake and Palmer fame. So Carl Palmer's solo band. Paul is the guitar player in that, and that's what he uses as a Peavey. I think he uses a Peavey Classic 30. When they're out on tour and everything, he's playing through a Peavey Classic 30, and his tone sounds killer. They're just great sounding amps. I have no idea why they don't get more love than they do. I think probably because there's just some people out there that just turn their noses up at, unless it's a 5150 or a 6505, you got that crowd. But anybody else, they just turn their noses up at anything that says Peavey on it because, honestly, I don't know why. I have no idea. I've made fun of a Peavey amp or two in my day, but. But overall, I think they're great. Peavey are a great company in the Classic series. I don't know that they came out with those amps to compete directly with the Fender hot rods. But when I was at the store and I had somebody that was interested in a 40 watt hot rod deluxe, I'd be like, pretty much the first thing I would, if you like that amp, before you pull the trigger on it, let me show you this Peavey. Play through it, because not only is it a couple $100 cheaper, but I think it sounds way better, and it's got an extra 10 watts. And 9 times out of 10, they would end up walking out with the Classic 50. Okay, let's see if I can pronounce the screen name. Varlot Obscure says, "Hey Robert, how are you?" I'm good, sir. Other than trying to pronounce your screen name, which I can't do. I apologize for butchering that. Joel Bateman, the Dean Carey King Flying V is $8,000. Wow. I've had a few people ask me to demo that on my channel, but not if I'm paying for it. I'm not. Jeff Cornell's here. Why is this? My OBS is not counting viewers today for some reason. Holy shit, we got 49 viewers in here today. Wow. Thank you all so much. I don't know that I've ever broken 50. Which, I guess we're not there yet, but wow. Wow, I'm blown away. I had no idea there's that many people in here hanging out. Cool. Thank you all so much for being here. So, we'll go until the little red light thing on the camera starts flashing at me, in which case that means the battery's going to die, and it also means that if the battery's going to die, if the battery dies, the live stream, it'll kill the live feed. So, which should be, we should have another hour or so anyway. Let's see. JB Shreds with the super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Very, very kind of you. I'm trying to get caught up in the thread here. You guys are chatty today. Jeff Cornell's here. I can't remember if I said hello to you yet or not, but if I didn't, hello to you, sir. Robert, have you ever played a Splon Quick Rod? Yes. Awesome amplifiers. I'd never heard of them until I actually saw Dokken out on tour back about 10 years ago. This was way post George Lynch and way pre George Lynch, Don Dokken kissing and making up and playing a few shows together. And they had, what was that dude's name? Johnny Slinger, Johnny Stringer. It was some weird name that was their guitar player. Great guitar player. Even if he was playing all George Lynch's old stuff, but he was playing it well and he was playing it right. But he had a wall of Splon amps on stage behind him, and they sounded killer. I can't remember if it was the Quick Rods or not, but that was when I first discovered Splon amplifiers. Nick is here. Says, hey, Robert, just tuned in. I was wondering, what is your all-time favorite guitar brand, best quality? All-time favorite guitar brand, for the longest time, it would have been a toss-up between Gibson and BC Rich. However, today, Music Man is really just trying real hard to take that top spot. And I have never owned a better guitar than my Music Man Majesty. I love that guitar. I will be buried with that guitar, and quite honestly, I'd love to have one or two more of them. How some of these other guys on YouTube, or got or Ernie Ball artists. Jared Dines they just released a signature, Jared Dines signature model Sterling, but so I mean it's I don't know. I mean I can answer that question a number of different ways. I mean, as far as my favorites, like I said, I've always been a Fender or been a Gibson and a BC Rich guy. Best quality. I love my Majesty, as I just mentioned, and for the American-made guitar companies, I don't know that anybody is making better quality instruments than Music Man right now. So, best quality, no question. But and my answer to that would be Music Man. Favorite, Music Man's up there. Oh yeah, Gibson, BC Rich. I'm real big on Schecter guitars right now too, actually. So, hey, Christopher Morrow's here. Brandon Duggan is here. Dropping in on my lunch break. Love the channel. Waiting for my 412 to come in to pair with my Randall Warhead. Nice. I'm assuming you got a Randall Warhead 412. The dual 15 cabinet from those Warhead 215 cabinets. Those are the ones that are getting tough to find. JCT Talks says, are you lightning? Because I'm trying to make you... Must be a troll. Let's see. Gibson quality being what it is presently, if I'm looking at Heritage for the same money, and CMG guitars to Schecter outclass them with the Solo 2. Love Heritage guitars. Those are basically Gibsons built by the dudes who were building Gibsons before Gibson shut down Kalamazoo. So basically Gibsons from the old Gibson factory. CMG guitars I've not played, and Schecter, I never liked the old Solo, the original Solo body shape. I didn't like that body style at all, so I never really messed with them. And a few of them that I did play, I didn't like the necks on them at all. Let's see. Jack Collins is here from Louisiana. Welcome to you, sir. told you about the for a lot of obscure. The dude whose screen name I couldn't pronounce says told you about problems of getting guitars in India, but I finally got a Fernandez Vortex. Share your thoughts about that model. Is that the V model? I think. Depending on what era, you know, if it was one of the earlier ones, you know, all the early Fernandez guitars are pretty cool. You know, people, if you can find one that's in good shape, man, there's people that bought, people beat those things to death back in the 80s and 90s, man. if you can find one that survived, they're pretty cool. They're pretty good guitars, especially the old made in Japan ones. My buddy Brett is real big. You know, he's a bass player, and he buys. You know, the dude buys basses like I buy pedals, and you know, he's always been real big on the old Japanese Fernandez basses. I keep telling him I need a jazz bass, and he keeps trying to sell me on a Fernandez, and I haven't bought yet. I haven't bid on that one yet because I want an actual jazz bass, but. Joey Ricchetti says, I picked up a Jimi Hendrix Strat Thursday. Would have been better off the player Strat. No real significant difference. Which era? I'd be curious to know which era of the Hendrix Strat you picked up, because they've done that guitar a few times. You know, there's the really, really expensive custom shop ones, but the production model ones they did one about 10, 15 years ago, I think. Those seem to be pretty cool. You know, I mean, they're obviously geared towards Jimi Hendrix fanatics, but quality of the guitar itself, though, was actually seemed to be pretty decent. Alex2112, hi Robert, is there a way to tell how much Guitar Center might give me for an amplifier before I bring it into the store? Not really, because they haven't seen it. And, you know, even if, you know, you might be able to get a ballpark out of them on the phone, maybe, but don't be pissed off at them if they won't give it to you. A lot of times, you know, people would call me up on the phone, you know, and ask me how much I would give for such and such an amplifier, and you know, and I would, you know, I'd try to give them, you know, give them an idea, and, you know, but I would also be really, really clear and say, you know, but you know, this was in this condition, you know, with this and this and this feature on it, you know, and you know, I haven't seen yours. I don't know what yours may or may not have had. I don't know if it's been modified or any of that stuff. So, want to know how much they'll give you? Honestly, the best way to look it up on eBay. You know, click on completed listings, see what they're selling for, and you know, look for the range in that. And you know, they're going to want to probably sell it towards the low end because they want to sell it fast. And you know, they'll make you an offer from there. So. Jaybird Shred says Guitar Center will rip you off. I don't agree with that at all. If you walk into Guitar Center looking to sell your gear, you know, you are, you know, if you're not smart enough to know that you're selling to a reseller, you are not going to get full market value. That's on you, not them. You know. Robert, I have a question. I have a chance to buy a Blackstar for 1200 watt half stack. 1,200 watts. I don't even know what guitar amp is 1,200 watts. Wow. What do you think about Blackstar? Yeah, some of them are better than others. You know, I've been pretty clear. You know, any of their amps that say ID in the front of it, I have no interest in. Either because I don't like the way it sounds, or I don't like the way that it's designed and all the programming, the modeling, and all that stuff that goes. You know, I just. You know, none of that stuff is for me. Plenty of people love them, but I'm not one of them. You know, it's like the Venue series, I think they're called. Like this, you know, they got like a Stage 60 and a Venue 40 or something like that. You know, for moderately priced tube amps, those seem to be okay. I think it's the Artisan, is that what it's called? It's kind of like an AC30 something or other. Didn't really care for. The HT, I think it was the HT5 actually was one of the better sounding amps for theirs I've ever heard. And the Series 200, which is a 200 watt tube head. which is the real high-end one that Gus G was using for a while. It may still be. You know, that one was actually pretty cool, but those things were expensive. So, yeah, they're okay. Are they my favorite amp company? No. You know, they commented on my worst amps video a while back because right after I just, they just seen me shitting all over the ID core amps. So they're no fans of mine. Let's see. The Kramer Beretta's 179 in Zounds. What pickup would you recommend for a one pickup guitar, humbucker, or P90? Oh, it depends. It really depends on what kind of sound. For a single humbucker, tough to go wrong with a Duncan JB. I have, my Kramer Focus. I have an 84 Kramer Focus that I still have the stock pickup in, but I took it out and replaced it with a Duncan Distortion, a la George Lynch, because that's what he used. I didn't do that because that's what George Lynch used, but I did it because it was it's a high output sounding pickup, and that's a one humbucker guitar. That's all it's got in it. So if you like the higher higher output pickups, that's a good way to go. Among many others, DiMarzio Super Distortions are good. Are a good solid choice for that. P90s. I've actually never owned a P90 guitar in my life, so I am probably not the best authority in the world on P90s. What a good P90 model is. I'll be sure. Okay, got a few new pedals recently. 2 JHS and a Wampler. Got the Tumnus Deluxe and Haunting Mids and the Kilt. I'm not familiar with most of those. The Tumnus I am. Tumnus is killer. Sorry, multitasking. When you guys use too many four-letter words in your comments, it'll automatically hide it and make me approve it. Let's see. I just got my first bass. I'm learning it with Rocksmith. I didn't know Rocksmith was still around. Cool. Nick says, I have 2 Indonesian guitars, and they both have great quality. Indonesian guitars get a bad rap, but I think they've stepped up their game. I agree with that completely. Because Indonesian guitars, they really didn't start building guitars in Indonesia until I don't know, early mid 2000s or something like that. Mostly like Ibanez and like the cheaper Epiphones, stuff like that. Which were all garbage, and that kind of gave Indonesia a bad name as far as their guitar building skills. But they've been at it long enough, man. They got it down. They got it down now, and like most of the Ibanez guitars that come out of Indonesia. I think one of my Schecters is my CR6 came from Indonesia. That's a great guitar. Man, they're the folks in Indonesia got guitar building down. Holy shit, Stay Metal Ray's here. What's up, brother? How you doing, dude? Stay Metal Ray has been a busy dude on his channel. That dude's posting. I don't know where you find the time for it, man. I mean, I put up 2 videos a week, and it takes me. God, I bet I gotta log 30 hours a week, 20 or 30 hours a week, just producing 2 videos. I don't know how you find the time to put up as many as you do. Cowtown Custom says whatever your amp is selling for online, you will get half or less. That is not true at all. That is not true at all. First they have to determine a value. Then they will, when I was there anyway, eBay was the primary source, and I assume still is. Especially, everything on Reverb's way overpriced. I mean, everything on Reverb is overpriced. For some reason, people list stuff on Reverb and, and price it like it's gold. So, I mean, I don't, what people are actually paying for them. eBay is a little bit, little bit more accurate mark for for finding a value of a used item. So once they determine what the value is and what they're going to want to sell it for, which is usually what the value is, towards the lower end of the spectrum, again, as I mentioned earlier, they want to sell it quick. Then they'll make an offer based on that number. And when I was there, it was usually in the 60 to 70% range of what they intend to sell it for. Sometimes, if it was a little bit more of a rare piece, a guitar that doesn't pop up very often, they may want to try to give themselves a little bit more room than that, because if it's something that's going to be hanging there for a while, they don't want it hanging there for a while. That's not good for them. So if it's something that's going to be hanging there for a while, and or that their concern might be, and they're going to take a chance on it, they need to give themselves some room to mark it down. So. Paragnandi says, what is the best online source to learn metal? Stay Metal Ray's guitar channel. Stay Metal Ray's YouTube channel. And I'm being serious. He teaches, he does a lot of he's a great metal guitar player. And he does a lot of videos, talking about, music theory and, constructing, how he constructs songs and stuff like that. So, Stay Metal Ray, there's a lot, there's a lot of great sources out there. A lot of great sources, on YouTube. Steve Stein. Steve Stein is an excellent instructor. And that's pretty much what, he's got multiple channels. That's what they all seem to be about. I think Fender currently does a great job delineating their guitar models. The made in Mexico models seem to be a great bargain for the price. I love my USA Strat, but also love my Mexican Tele. Yeah, they do. They do. And that's, therefore, we used to talk about that at the store quite a bit. Was it was easy, despite Fender having their name on everything. The Fender name, with the exception, they put the Squier name on the lower end stuff, but everything else said Fender on it. Unlike Gibson. Gibsons only say Gibson on it if they're made in the U.S., with the exception of that line of acoustics that they made in Canada 20 years ago now, or whatever it's been. But and a lot of that's one reason. Actually, one reason when JC took over Gibson, everybody. I heard this from a number of sources. They needed to dump either, in the Les Paul line anyway, they needed to dump either the classics or the traditionals, because those two models were, with the studios on the bottom side of that, on one side of those, and the standards on the other side. I mean, there was just those two models between the standard and the studio were just too close together. It just didn't make any sense, and it was just more confusing than it needed to be. And they ended up dumping the traditional, which I think was the right call. Because the traditional is the old standard. So any guitar over $500 these days is solid. The market is great right now. Quality is best in my lifetime. I agree. I think guitar companies are making guitars as well as they ever have been. I've said for years now, I think Fender's quality right now is as good as it's ever been. That includes the golden era of the 50s and 60s. God, some of the guitars that Schecter's putting out for the money right now are absolutely insane. Yeah, I mean, not to mention the Harley Benton stuff. The 10, brands like 10S, brands like, Vintage, stuff like that, the quality of guitars that some of these companies are putting out are absolutely phenomenal for the money that they're charging for them. So, yep, I agree. Michelle Wade says, Robert, still love the best and worst guitar videos. And the Know Your Troll videos are better than most stand-up. Keep them coming. Great stuff. Thank you very much. I always have fun making that stuff. So, not quite time for another Know Your Troll video, but I'm sure it'll get there sooner rather than later. Let's see. Lord Winterhard says Gibson would do better if they had Mexican line, I think. I don't know, man. I mean, they've got the Epiphone line, which is overseas, and those guitars are just as nice as any other company. What any other company has coming out of Mexico. So, wow. 54 people in here currently. I don't know if it's jumped up above that or not, but wow. I think we set a new record here today, folks. Thank you all so much. I am trying to get caught up here in the chat as much as I can. I'm going to zip through a lot of this stuff, so if you ask a question I overlooked it, drop it in there again, and see, and hopefully I'll get to it. Charles 75M says, a lot of folks love the Bandit as a pedal platform. That's true, and I keep meaning to pick one up just to see what all the hype is about. I guess the Red Stripe is the Red Stripe version is the one to have, but I've also heard a lot of people talking shit about that amp lately, too, because the distortion channel on it isn't all that great. Who knows? Peavey. Couple guys says Peavey, great tone, but they don't age well. They look cheap. Sound quality doesn't suffer, but they just look like they spend their days next to smokers pouring beer on them. Yeah, there's a lot of them, especially like the older ones, like the 70s and 80s, and even early 90s. Like the silver stripe ones and the blue and the silver sided ones and the blue stripe or whatever they call those things. Yeah. That is true. You can take one look at them and tell what era they're from, but they seem to have modernized their look quite a bit, though. Like the 5150, everybody's gonna know what that amp looks like, and amps, like I think the Windsor, that's I don't think the look of that amp is ever gonna go out of style. 3120 is fairly modern looking. Stuff like that. So, pardon me. Brad Norberry says, hi, Rob. I'm debating whether I should even read the rest of that. Joseph Austin, love the live chat and the channel. Just a great place to discuss gear with people that play and enjoy guitar. Absolutely. That's really why I started this channel. Just because I'm, at the end of the day, I'm just a dude that loves guitar gear. Not a great guitar player or anything like that. I just love guitar gear. That's how this channel got started. So. Andres Hernandez says, Supersonic thoughts. Love your channel. Supersonic is my all-time favorite Fender amplifier. Killer amp. It's one of those things that I've always wanted one, and every time I've thought to go buy one, there's been another priority, and I've just never been able to grab one. I really would need to have one of those in my arsenal. Christopher Morrow. Please answer Leonard's question. He typed it out 20 times. All right, let me find it. What is your opinion on those two pedals, Dark Matter Distortion and the Grunge pedal by Digitech? The Grunge pedal, I had a Grunge pedal once upon a time, and it got, at the time I was driving a Jeep Cherokee, and somebody smashed my window in and stole my car stereo, my subs, and my Digitech grunge pedal that I left in the back seat. And the one thing that I was not, that I wasn't sorry that I no longer had was the grunge pedal. Didn't care for it at the time, but Josh Scott is after that video he did 6 months or so ago on those old Lamb series DoD pedals. All of a sudden, people are starting to rethink those. So, I'd have to. Last time I heard one, I couldn't stand it, but I'd have to plug it in. My ears changed since then. The dark matter distortion, on the other hand, is one of the better values on the market. As far as distortion, but I think they just recently raised the price from $50 up to $80, which I couldn't. I don't know why they did that, but though they may have dropped it back down again because they realized they screwed that up. But regardless, dark matter is a killer pedal. I own one. I demoed one on my channel a long time ago. I haven't used it in a while. I should probably pull that one out and use it for a video again, just to give it some love, show people what it sounds like again. That's a great pedal. The only thing with it, that switch there in the middle, that middle switch that's supposed to be like a mid shift or something, doesn't seem to do much, if anything. I've noticed that with a lot of TC electronic pedals. They'll have a switch there that's like a mid shift or a modulation switch or something, and you flip it and there's like no audible difference whatsoever on a few of their pedals. Let's see. Well cared for Peavey is hard to find. Some cases that is true. That's one thing people love about Peavey is they can beat them to death. Lord Wintermart, Peavey should move production to the U.S. and do a triple X reissue. What is with everybody? And all of a sudden, everybody's got this huge boner over the Triple X. I never did care for that amp, even when it was out. And then was it Trivium, or I think it was, that recently did an album that used that amp to record everything. Now all of a sudden, everybody's going nuts over the Triple X again. So, Blur is here. What's up, dude? I assume you're a dude. I assume you're a dude. Maybe I shouldn't. To be honest with you, I have no idea. I think I've been challenged here. Varlot Obscure says you pronounce that correct. Says you pronounce that correct. My real name is Deshayan Chakraborty. I don't know if I pronounce. I could have completely just murdered that name. So if I did, I apologize. I am Hopfrog is here. Says, what is the worst guitar amp you ever owned? Mine was a Standell 212. The third time I played it, it made a weird dog whistle sound, and then smoke came out of speakers. The worst amp I ever owned was my very first little practice amp. Was a Crate G10. I know I've praised Crate Crate combos and Crate amps and stuff, and how much I really like them, and I do. But the little bitty 10-watt thing that I bought in 1987 with my allowance I'd saved up for 2.5 years. That thing sounded like total dog shit, and I hated it, and and I couldn't wait to get rid of it. Finally, I got to upgrade it one day, and that was like the greatest day of my life, because I did not like the sound of that thing at all. But I think you're supposed, guys my age anyway that started playing back then, I think you're supposed to hate your first amp. As far as the worst amp I've ever owned since then, I've been pretty lucky. I can't really think of any amps that I've owned that I just absolutely hated. I loved my Blue Voodoo. Still wish I had that amp. I loved, I liked both of my B-52s. I had an AT-100 and an ATX-100. I like both of those real well. All the amps that I own now, I like quite a bit. I don't use I don't use my 6505 combo enough. So, I've been pretty fortunate, I guess. So. Dennis Brialt is here. Doc Amos Roxy says, Music Man is probably my next purchase. Only had SEPRS, but didn't get it so much. You won't be disappointed in Music Man, dude. If you like lightweight shredder guitars, not necessarily even lightweight, although that one is, but I recommend anybody, if you're looking at Music Mans, don't buy anything until you play Majesty, the USA Majesty, not the Sterlings are great, but they're missing some features from the USA models. So if you're looking at just a Music Man in general, don't buy anything until you play Majesty. Yep, that Jeff Cornell says, Robert, probably John Levin with Doc, and love the Splunk. That's it. John Levin is the guy's name. I don't know if he's still playing with him or not. I saw a video somebody shared a video on YouTube where Dokken was they were playing a gig with George Lynch. Looked like it was like you could tell it was definitely a reunion show of some kind. They played Mr. Scary, but they had to start it, and they had to restart it like 3 times because there's that one part in the breakdown, and where they you could tell they hadn't played it together in a while because they got lost, and they fucked it up, and so then but they restarted it, and then finally they got through it. Took them three or 4 times, but they got it. They all seemed to have a pretty good sense of humor about it too. They were kind of laughing and acknowledging that this is not an easy song, and it's been a long time since the 4 of us played it together. Joseph Austin says, don't overlook the Sterling line of Music Man. I grabbed one of their basses. It's decent and cheap at $300 US, brand new. Oh, yeah. The Sterling instruments are also fantastic. I don't have anything bad to say about them. But, there's a reason why they're not as expensive as the USA Music Mans. That's all I'm saying. If you can afford the USA, model, don't buy anything until you try the USA Majesty. Robert, did you buy that Music Man brand new? I did not. I bought it used. I found a really, really good deal on a used one. Matter of fact, it was at Guitar Center. The Guitar Center in Boston had it, and they had it priced really, really well. Apparently, it was a Berkeley student had bought it brand new from them a year prior, and basically didn't leave the kid's dorm room, and he sold it back to him. Zoe, come here. Hey. Damn dog. I love that dog, but she's being obnoxious right now. Come here. Come here. What are you getting all excited about? Come here. Come here. Want to say hi to everybody? Oh, here we go. Say hi to Zoe, everybody. She's all excited about nothing. We see a bird or something fly by, probably. Let's see, where was I? But no, anyway, they had it for a really good price, and so I called them up, and it was in my budget, so I grabbed it, and they shipped it to me, and I received it, and it was in, for all intents and purposes, just about brand new condition, and all the miles that it's had on it ever since then have been put on it by me, and I love that guitar to death, and it's not... I'm going to be buried at that thing, as I mentioned earlier. All right, I know. All right. Okay, you went down? Pardon me. Hey. She rarely barks in the house unless she sees something going on outside. And then it's her job to alert us that there's something going on outside, even if it's like a bird flying by the window or something. Let's see. Where was I? Joel Bateman, 1200 watt half stack. Yeah, I'm still blown away by that too. 120 watt half stack, I guess that makes a little bit more sense. Ross Schneider is here. Says, hi, Robert. Any thoughts on FGN guitars from Japan? They have some Tellys and Strats in the $500 range. Circular fret wire design is interesting. I've not played them. I've heard of them. That's the Fujijin, I think is they call them FGN, but they're made in the Fujijin factory. I think it's that company's own guitar brand is what it is. I think my friend John Suki had a brief endorsement with them there for a while before before Kiesel picked him up. So yeah, I'm not sure, but if they're John really seemed to like him, and that dude's picky. So if they got his endorsement, I mean, they can't be all bad. Doc Heyman's Roxy says, I picked up a mint condition Gus G Screamer for $40 and love it. That's his, it's a signature overdrive or something, and I can't remember who made that pedal. Gus G Screamer. I can't, I'm surprised somebody was selling it that cheap. Paul Von Tyron, thank you so much for the super chat. Zozie, you need to make sure and thank Paul for your next round of Doogie treats. So she's sitting here on the floor right next to me, backed all the way up against my leg. She's looking around and she's kind of like subtly growling a little bit, just letting us know what's going on out in the world. Let's see. I'm doing my best trying to cover everything. You guys are chatting faster than I'm reading and faster than I'm responding. Charles 75 in says, your thoughts on the Fender Basement 60. Fender Basement's a legendary amplifier, man. It's Leo Fender originally designed that amp to be a bass amp back in the 50s, and then suddenly it was guitar players that took to it because it had such a great clean sound. Of course, it's gone through all different versions and amalgamations and stuff over the years. I can't honestly, between all of them I can't keep them all straight. I'm not sure which one the Basement 60 is. I'm assuming, I think that's the tube head from like the 60s or 70s, the silver face. I could be wrong. Matter of fact, I could be very wrong. Regardless, Fender Basements are great amps, man. They're great amps as long as you get one, as long as you find one that's in working order. Fender make great amplifiers altogether. If you like their clean sound, you got to turn them up loud to get that breakup out of them, but not easy. Not easy, and I don't have an environment I can do that in any way. At least not without an attenuator, which I suppose I have an attenuator, but still. Thoughts on the Marshall Shredmaster? It was used on Creep by Radiohead. Is that the... I think that was like that box, the big box Marshall distortion, wasn't it? Oh man, if that's the one, I've never played one. If that's the one that I'm thinking of, they can't, like, those from the same series as the original Governor, distortion. If that's the one I'm thinking of, I unfortunately I've never played one. I've never played one. But I mean, I can hear it. That I can hear that song in my head, and I can hear the tone. But I've never actually got my hands on one. Somebody brought up, I think you were in the chat earlier when somebody brought up those old big Marshall box pedals. They're getting harder and harder to find. Mark Wilson says, what's your opinion of shifter guitars, specifically the ones with the Sustainiac? Shifter guitars. I'm assuming that's going to be an an unintentional autocorrect for Schecter guitars. If it's I talked about Schecter guitars earlier. I think they're killer. The Schecter are probably the best overall bang for the buck on the market. I'm going to assume that you're new here because I've talked about, I mention this all the time. I love Schecters, and I probably play a Schecter, one of two Schecter models on my channel more often than any other guitar. And to be clear, one reason why I do that is because they're great guitars, and price wise they're accessible to most people. They're not, I do play $3,000 guitars on my channel sometimes too, but I try to demo stuff with other gear that as I mentioned, the stuff that mere mortals other mere mortals like me can acquire, and Schecter do that very, very well. The Sustainiac models, those get a little bit more expensive. Most of those run around the $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 range, depending on the model. But they're killer, and Sustainiacs are a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun if you got one, but they're also kind of useless if you don't have if they're on a guitar without a Floyd Rose. So, if you want the Sustainiac, you also kind of have to like Floyd's. Picked up a mint condition carving mixer with EQ and pedal for $60. Best way to play through a mixer: amp to mixer, pedal board to mixer, or preamp. I've never played through a mixer. I have no idea. I haven't. I met a dude one time that was trying to figure out his guitar rig, and he was putting all kinds of crazy, useless shit into his rig. And he had this, he had this Behringer mixer in his rig that he was using, using one channel of as an EQ, and couldn't wonder why it didn't sound good. And basically what it boiled down to, he was over EQing everything, and so playing through playing through a mixer. I mean, the only thing I think of would be, if you're using, if you're going direct or something in a live situation, but if you're talking about playing through a mixer with, a mixer for tone, I'm not the best authority on that. I've never done that before. Joel Bateman says, all my guitars have EMGs, 81, 85 active pickups. All my basses have EMGs, Geezer Butler signature active pickups. EMGs are cool. They do have a certain distinct tone to them, but they also make any any guitar that you put them in, they sound exactly identical. All sound the same, and so I have a few guitars with EMGs in them as well, but I don't want all my guitars to have them. Wow, Leonard, you really did want that question answered, didn't you? I hope I answered it accurately. Richard D. Little says, howdy from Chicago. Channel is getting better and better. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Glad you are enjoying the content. Dennis Briel says, not anymore. GC will give you approximately half of what they're going to sell it for, and right now my experience is they're on the very low side when they make you an offer. I don't know, man. They're pretty low on used gear right now. I mean, they're definitely willing to pay more right now to get some more used gear in their inventory. Because they're during this pandemic they haven't been able to buy anything, so everything they did have just it got sold. So. They're working pretty hard to get some more stuff, and they're willing to pay a little bit more for it right now. Doc Amos Roxy says my wife walked in the room, so you went over 50. I've got a number over here on the left hand side of my screen that I've kind of been keeping not keeping an eye on, but checked on every now and again. I've seen it as high as 54. I don't know that it's. I guess it's gotten up around 60, not quite 60, but close to it. Regardless, definitely this is definitely the most viewers that we've had on a live stream on this channel so far. So, hopefully one of these days I'll be able to get up there into Fluff and Pete Thorne territory. We get 500 or 1,000 of you guys in here all hanging out together. But they also have much larger audiences than I do. Not that I'm complaining. I'm 21,000 subscribers, and it's taken a long time to get there. But I'm very proud that I've been able to grow this thing to this point. Rick Virginia says, have you ever experienced Mojo Tone pickups? If so, what are your thoughts? They seem to sound good. For all intents and purposes, they're basically they're clones of Gibson pickups as near as I can tell. They build pickups real similar to the way Gibson does. None of them, they don't seem to have anything that's, really high output. Most of it's more moderate vintage output type of stuff. But, plenty of clarity, offer plenty of good tones to be had. Nothing wrong with them at all. Ambrose is here. Anthony Baltusas is here. Richard D. Little says, picked up an Ibanez Axion with my Fishman Fluence and believe I have found my signature guitar. Good. That's a good thing. Those Ibanez Axion series guitars are pretty cool. A buddy of mine bought one about a year or so ago, and he's a younger guy. He's on the back end of his college career, and I think his longtime girlfriend that they've been dating since they were kids. I think she's down there at art school or something, and so I think his band's still going, they're still playing. I don't think they're playing quite as much. They're all his age, so a lot of them are finishing up college and stuff right now. So, Glass Hands is the name of the band. If you want to check out a really good hard rock metal band, original music, go check out Glass Hands. They've got a hit on Spotify right now, I think, that's gotten quite a few streamed quite a few plays. Hey, Ben Coombs is in here. What's up, buddy? Or at least he was earlier. I don't know how far behind. There's no timestamps on these these comments, so I can't tell how far back I am. But Ben, if you're still here, welcome to you. Hope you're doing well, dude. Ben's a cool dude. Ben's a cool dude, man. I think he's also the moderator on Pete Thorne's live streams, and of course has his own channel and his own live stream. I think he streams on Sunday evenings. Let's see. Several of you know who Ben is. Hey, the pedal guy's in here too. Yo, he says, "What's up, dude?" I did an interview on Pedal Guy's channel a month or two ago, I guess it's been. No, another cool guy. Another cool guy. That's the cool thing about this YouTube, this YouTube community, man. Everybody, there's, what a lot of viewers, a lot of people who just consume YouTube, I think most people appreciate it, but they don't really recognize exactly how much work goes into all of this. But, so all the, the creators, being in this community, those are the people that, that truly understand how much goes into it. And there's a lot of mutual respect between most everybody. There's one or two or three assholes out there, that I really don't care for, who I'm not going to mention by name, but really no more than that. Everybody, 99.999% of that community, just loads of great people, man. Pedal Guy says, you're right about the Beat Buddy. Lots of fun. Beat Buddy's awesome, dude. An amazing piece of technology. It is a ton of fun. And if you pair it with the Eros looper, and and you guys, well, neither of those Eros looper videos did very well. Unfortunately, I kind of feel bad about that, but but if you watch those videos, if you use the Beat Buddy with the Eros looper, it's a killer songwriting tool, man. Beat Buddy's a really, really cool piece of gear. Steve Resor, R-E-S-O-R. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Says, hi, Robert. I was wondering, what combo amp would you pair with a Digitech RP1000 for classic rock and a little metal? If it were me, I'd run it straight into the effects loop. So, basically any amp with a power amp. Any amp with a power amp and a good sounding speaker in it. Or any amp with a power amp and an effects loop and a good sounding speaker in it. I guess it would be a more accurate description. Let the Digitech be the preamp and do the work. William De Silva says, you ever use any Ren and Cuff pedals? I own a Super Rush that I absolutely love. I have not, actually. That's one of those boutique brands. Like, they're not as big as Earthquaker devices and Wampler and some of those other more well-known companies nowadays, JHS. But they're not as big as those companies, but they're they're kind of like they're like in the same genre. They're right there in the same. They're kind of in the same pedal genre, if you will. They remind me an awful lot of Earthquaker devices, to be honest. So, but I've never actually played any. Never played any of them. So, Ben Coombs says, worst amp, Peavey Rage, but it served a purpose. Easier to lug to a lesson than a 212. That's true. And the Peavey Rage, there is a cult following of people that absolutely love that amp, to the point Tony Peppers of Peppers Pedals actually made a he made a clone pedal distortion clone of that circuit. The first run he actually got sued over because it was, Peavey threatened to sue him. I guess they didn't go through with it, but they threatened it. So he had to stop making it and then came out with a different design for it. Visual design. It's the same circuit though. He called it the Fury, the Fury 158. Gerald Jeffchick is here. Says, good afternoon. Just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to share your knowledge. Only question about Peavey, can they survive? Is anything made in the good old USA? I I want to say the Invective might be the big one anyway. Full size Invective might be made in the U.S. They did move production of the 6505s over to China, which I was shocked that they did that, but they did it. But the Invective, I want to say that one might still be made in the U.S., but I could be mistaken. Epic Esquire is here. Says, my new telly arrived yesterday. The Fender Japan Silent Siren signature. It's all white, even the fretboard. Interesting. Not familiar with. Maybe I have heard. No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I'm not familiar with that guitar. Ben Coombs says, love my B52 AT112. Finally, somebody else that loves the ATs like I did. I love those amps, man. They're, poor man's Mesa Boogies is what they were. That's why I bought it, because I was poor, and I got mine pretty cheap. But that one saw a lot of mileage, man. And the cab that I had the AT412 cab. It was a 400 watt RMS cabinet, great, or peak, I guess, I don't know, but had 400 watt speakers in it. I love that rig, man. Michelle Wade says, hey, Robert, what are your thoughts on the Guitar Center acoustic brand head and 412 cab? Not a fan. Not a fan at all, to be honest. Acoustic, that brand, they make, their bass amps are killer. I love their bass amps. I own one. Their acoustic guitar amps are killer. I own two of those, as a matter of fact. And I think those are both great. That their electric guitar amps leave more than a little bit desired. I think for the same money, you can get a lot more value with some other stuff. You're the second one in the last 24 hours to ask me that question. Anthony Baltusa says, do you think all this COVID stuff has killed off all the Boomer and Gen X bands from ever touring? I don't know about ever touring, but, certainly from the time being. Certainly from the time being. And, with what we understand about this COVID-19 thing, older age, increases, whether or not whether or not an individual is high risk. And, whether or not an individual is high risk, that can make or break a decision whether or not a band or any of its members are going to go out on tour or not. That's going out on tour is great, and that's what a lot of musicians live for. That's how they make a lot of their living. But nobody wants to do it. I would think most people wouldn't want to do it if it wasn't safe. So nobody wants to go out on tour to die. I don't know, man. There's still. I think the truth is. And I don't want to. For some reason, we've been the only country in the world that's been dumb enough to politicize this thing. So I'm not going to get into any of that. But I think the truth is there's still a lot of unknowns about this whole thing, and we got a ways to go before we see the end of it. Dennis Brialt in the super chat here a few minutes ago. I apologize for not getting to this sooner, but thank you, sir. Ever try the Digitech Trio Plus? I was real close to pulling the trigger on one of those, and because I was at the time I was just looking for like a drum machine pedal type of thing, and I went with the Beat Buddy Mini instead. And I'm kind of glad that I did. The Beat Buddy Mini's it's got a lot more options as far as different beats and different grooves and different styles and stuff like that. The trio is cool though because it has that I can't remember what they call the feature itself, but it's like this intuitive feature. You play a chord progression sometime and it just reads it. It just knows what you're doing and it automatically pulls up a backing track, bass and drums to go with it. Which is pretty cool. So, that said, there seems to be a ton of those things out there on the used market. So a lot of people seem to have dumped it. And that makes me think that there's there is some kind of limitation with it. I haven't looked into it or researched it to figure out what it might be, but with as many used ones as there are out there, there's something that they seem to have missed something in the design. Big Cole says, "What's your thoughts on Guitar Center wanting money back from the employees?" That's the first I've heard of it, and yeah, that. No, they can't do that. That's I don't know where that information came from. That sounds like horse shit from a Guitar Center hater somewhere out there. I'm not buying that at all. I could be wrong. I could certainly be wrong, but I have not heard word one about that. And my ear's pretty close to the ground in the as far as the Guitar Center network goes, just from people I know in the business that I'm in. Doc Amos Roxy says, "I may be wrong, but Music Man and PRS seem to kind of challenge and mirror each other, but maybe just the ones I've touched." I don't know, man. I think PRS and Music Man are total opposite ends of the spectrum. I mean, most Music Man guitars are bolt-on design. Most PRS designs are set neck. Quality-wise, are both. I think they're both right there. PRS pays a lot more attention. I mean, they pay a ton of attention to their quality. So this is not a knock on that at all. But they really really value the bling factor on their guitars. There's so many of their guitars are just some of the most absolutely most beautiful pieces of wood that that you could ever hope to lay your eyes on. And they're and finishes and everything. I mean, they're just absolutely stunning to look at. Not that Music Man's aren't, but Music Man is definitely more. Most of their energy is focused on overall quality. They want those guitars to to play and they want to wow their customers with the performance. I guess is probably the best way I can put it. Richard D. Little says, as I was saying earlier, I'm loving Ibanez S Series, thin and light, great for my back. LOL. Have you played any? Yeah, I've played several S Series guitars over the years. You're right. They do. They do play really, really well. But I've had a tough time getting decent tones out of them in the past though, because they are a really, really lightweight, thin piece of wood. So, because of that. For me anyway, just the way that I like to dial my amps and pedals and stuff. So that's obviously not true for everybody. Satriani seems to, his tones sound pretty good. I mean, he doesn't play an S series, but his signature model is pretty close. Is not close, but similar. Doc BBE. He's talking about the Gus Screamer from earlier. That's right. And BBE makes that pedal. I don't know if they're still making it or not. FGN is the same factory and people as Ibanez Prestige. Yep, that's the Fujijin factory. Richard D. Lowe says, I really want to play Nina's. I'm assuming you're talking about Nita Strauss's signature model. That thing sold like hotcakes when it came out, man. They're still selling like crazy. She is a magnificent guitar player, though. Dennis Brialt says, I have a Hartfield Talon 2 made in Fujigen, built like a tank. Great pickups. DiMarzio, Real Floyd Rose, Hartfield. Yes, I did mention Hartfield in the video recently. Those are great guitars. They weren't made very long, and they don't seem to pop up very often either. They were sold over. They were made in Japan, but they were sold over here in this part of the world. Ever play any of the Buddha amps? I have not, actually. People rave about those things, and I've seen a couple. I've never actually had a chance to sit down and play them. Peavey own Buddha now. I think they've owned Buddha for a while. I did hear from a Peavey rep about, I don't know, 8-9 months ago. Not quite a year ago now. They are talking about doing something to bring back the Buddha line. In all, not all of its glory, but they're wanting to. I think they are wanting to do something with it, and make it more prominent than it is currently. So, but that was also, that was before COVID hit, and I have communicated with him since then, and they're, this COVID thing, knocked Peavey on its ass. So. They are, I'm sure what they're still talking about it, but I'm also quite sure that it's been put on hold like a lot of other projects around the industry right now. Paul Fuchs says, Robert showing off them guns. Yep. Showing off them guns and this overly hairy chest hair from Cherokee country that I hail from, or I guess my ancestors do anyway. Kobe says, Robert, given the choice, would you get a Diesel or Hughes and Kettner top tier model? Diesel, no question. Diesel Herbert. VH4 wouldn't be bad either, but if my choice between those two would be a Diesel Herbert. Paul Fuchs says, Robert, are you a G&L fan? Yes, I am. I like G&L guitars quite a bit. As a matter of fact, I was shocked when Jerry Cantrell finally ended their deal and went to Gibson recently. But yeah, no, I like G&Ls, man. G&Ls are interesting. Of course, it was Leo Fender's third company, but their customers are I think are the interesting part, because they think that G&L customers think G&Ls are Fenders the way Fenders are supposed to be built, and I think they make great instruments. They don't. Don't buy them, try not to buy them new if you can help it, or get a really, really good deal on a new one, because they don't seem to hold their value on the used market worth shit. But, I think they're killer. I've talked recently, I need to get a hold of, a decent, a good Strat. I don't need an expensive one or a high-end one or anything. I just need a good Strat, in my arsenal. And I mean, there's actually a couple that, like the G&L Legacies that I'm thinking about, that I may end up going with. I haven't decided yet, and I'm not at a position to buy a guitar. I mean, I can buy one, but I don't need to buy one right away. So, but when a 3 single coil guitar of some kind comes my way, it could very well be one with a G&L headstock on it. Yeah, no, I like G&L guitars. Doc Amos Roxy said, I set my local used pedal budget at $40. You'd be surprised if you have patience how many pedals you can get for $40 at retail for 100 plus. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of pedals, like specifically the big box companies, the Bosses, the Digitex, the TC Electronic, those, and especially some of those models that have been around for decades. That are just everywhere. You can find them, they don't resell well. They don't carry a whole lot of value on the used market because they're everywhere. Pedal fanatics. I think pedal junkies are starting to hang on to stuff more than they used to. But it used to be, for most people, if you didn't have room for it on the board, or you weren't, out it went, and you'd sell it and buy something to replace it and fill the space. And, what was on your pedal board, that's what you owned, nowadays, now you got guys like me that, I got probably, 25 pedals on these 2 shelves here above my desk. There's probably 15 or 20 more here on the table next to me. There's a random Joyo, the Uzi pedal that I demoed a few weeks ago sitting right there, and that's just here at my desk. If I go back there, you guys have seen all the pedals and stuff on the shelves in there, and I've got them everywhere. There's a lot of people that are like that now, so. So because of that, I think you're starting to see prices climb a little bit. Some of that is also due to inflation, but Blur says, have a great weekend, Robert. I have to go mow my lawn before the rain hits. Have fun, dude. I think I might be able to get away without cutting my grass this weekend. I don't know. I've been able to get away without having to water my garden the last couple of days, which has been nice. Topher Taylor says, hey, RGD, still in love with the Blues Driver? Absolutely, I'm in love with the Blues Driver. Blues Driver, and matter of fact, I just uploaded another video last night about a similar pedal, or a competitor pedal that's that same style of circuit that I was even more shocked by. I'm not going to give that away because I want you guys to be surprised as always, but I think you guys will be surprised. Maybe I'll turn into like the next Josh Scott, and all of a sudden, anytime I do a video on something, the value of pedals that everybody's forgotten about starts to skyrocket. Like those old DoD Lamb Series pedals that nobody even wanted, until all of a sudden Josh Scott does a video on them, and now people are paying hundreds of dollars for them. Hundreds of bucks for these shitty ass old fuzz circuits. What's your thoughts on Reverb? Oh, man, I've been sour on Reverb for a while just because I didn't like the way that they bagged out on Henning Pauly's fundraiser for the animal shelter last year. And they only did that because, Glenn Fricker was there, and apparently they don't like Glenn. So they don't like Glenn, that's fine, but, regardless, I thought the way they handled that was very unprofessional. Then they've since been bought out by Etsy, and now they're they just announced they're getting ready to raise their selling fees. From they're bumping it up like 3% or something crazy. And now their customer service has rapidly declined. I guess the only way you can get a hold of them now is through a chat. If there's a problem that you need addressed, you can't get anybody on the phone. You can't get a response to an email. You can't get anything. You just got to hope that somebody's there that's willing to answer the chat. And then nowadays they almost always side with the seller. That used to be one of the benefits of Reverb. Is they used to have much better buyer protection than eBay does. Now they're almost always siding with the seller, or siding with the buyer instead. And no, a Reverb is a last resort for me, to be honest with you. John Taylor says, in these troubled times, I've been picking up gear cheap. Your gear addiction's rubbed off on me. Well, I'm going to take that as a compliment. Hopefully, you've gotten some pretty cool stuff. Jack Collins says, I have an older Jackson Warrior with Duncan design pickups, and the tremolo come apart. Bar literally come out of the tremolo. Do I need to replace it or what? Without I'd need to see it, and I'm not exactly sure what that means. I mean, I would assume you'd just be able to replace the trem arm, but I'm without having it in front of me, I couldn't be sure. And even that, I don't know. I need to be able to lay eyes on it. Says, if I decided to change out the licensed Floyd Rose on it, my Warrior, which one should I get? I would find the Floyd Rose branded one that would fit that model, be it a special or a 1000 or, whichever one. A lot of people don't seem to like the licensed Floyd Rose tremolos. That said, I've always had good luck with them. I've never had one fail on me or wear out or anything like that. So, guys, we got the red blinky lighty battery light thing here. So that means that the camera here is about to die. So I'm going to see if I can get a couple more questions in here before it dies. But if I'm not able to, again, thank you all for coming to hang out with me here today. This has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed hanging out with you guys here today. This has been a good one. So, Tom Shigoka, Gibson's worth the money. I've got gas for a Les Paul with the B90s. Oh, I think they're, as I mentioned earlier, I think they are having, I think they're priced a lot more fairly now than they were a year or two ago. A lot more fairly. So, Les Paul P90s is, $1,000 or, $2,000, $2,500 or so right now, which I think is very, very fair. Again, for an American-made Les Paul. So, the question is whether or not you like the guitar or not. If you like it, then yeah, I'd say it's worth the money. If you don't like it, then no, it's not worth the money. John Taylor says, yep, there goes the camera. There goes the camera. I imagine you guys can probably still hear me at this point. So, if I didn't get to your question, I apologize. However, we will most likely be doing this again here around the same time next week. So please, by all means, come hang out then. If I didn't get to your question today, drop it there in the chat box again this week or next week, and we'll tackle it then. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend.